All right, everybody, welcome back to definitely the first time we've done this intro. Welcome back to another episode of Spotlight. We have returning guest, the legend, Adam Holesha, who will reintroduce himself a second time, but he's been slaving away all summer with his co-op. And I want to go ahead and give Adam the opportunity to introduce himself and say what's important for him.
Hello, you beautiful souls out on the sound waves. This is ISU Spotlight After Hours with your co-host, unofficially, but I can make it happen, probably, Adam Holesha. Sounded pretty sweet.
Sorry, I had to take a nap there for a second. That was just delectable.
The voice is sounding like butter right now.
I would say it's
crazy.
that sick, or like you just woke up from a nap.
Just woke up.
And you sound like Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Like
running on 4 hours of sleep and Death Wish coffee.
Yeah. Dang, dude.
Awesome.
Dang, dude.
Anyways, my name's Adam Holesha. For those of you who didn't watch when I was on the last time, was once a part of Grandma Mojo's improv comedy troupe. Unfortunately, no longer on it. Well, I'll get to that. But currently, senior in mechanical engineering. Great talking to people, having fun times, laughter, alcohol, whatever it may be. But yeah, I love, meeting new people, trying new things, and just living life to the fullest. It's great.
That was a great Tinder profile that you just spouted out there. I love meeting new people, introduction to new things.
Oh yeah.
But okay, so I kind of just got the gist of it, but you started this co-op in the summer, and then you've been working like 100 hours a week since then in Des Moines. But you're still like technically a student. But walk me through that again, and then specifically why that means you can't like do mojos and stuff like that.
Yeah. So right now I'm doing a co-op out of West Des Moines. They're a really awesome company called SystemWorks. They do commissioning and TAB, which is testing, adjusting, and balancing on HVAC and water pumps. It's a really cool experience getting to travel around Iowa, the greater Midwest, and just really get a lot of good experiences with a lot of different companies, a really big workspace that's in like an active work site. So like I'm wearing my hard hat, PPE and stuff like that. So I'm still technically a part of the university. I have not yet graduated. I'll explain the whole reasoning behind why I'm no longer a member of Mojo's. It does not have to do with the co-op. But the co-op is, it's a really good experience for me to just kind of open myself up and, get a lot of good experience in like the real world and stuff like that. But, I did Mojo's for 5 semesters, and the big reasoning behind that is just, I'm at a point in my career as an engineer where, I have to really put my best foot forward. I've been in college for a long time. You wouldn't think it, but I'm 24.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really want to, put my best foot down, mow through the rest of this degree and move on. So it's gonna, hello. So yeah, I definitely want to focus on that. And then, obviously, well, not obviously, but kind of dealing with mental stuff, just trying to, put a good focus down that kind of affected me and how I was doing schoolwork. So, but luckily, having done Mojo's for as long as I did and just being a part of improv, improv kind of, it's been a big part of me, just keeping me happy and keeping me sane and stuff like that. So that's why I just love making people laugh, because it's helped me so much and be the person that I am today. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have a million questions. If you don't mind getting into it.
No, absolutely.
After you graduated, what was like the
I haven't
timeline?
graduated yet.
No, sorry, high school. After you graduated high school, what was the timeline?
Yeah, so I did 2 years of community college at back home. I did that. Ironically, I got 2 associate's degrees instead of 1, which is really dope.
In what? That's awesome.
So I went for a science transfer degree at my community college, and I went to the advisor because they were preparing for graduation, and they were just like, hey, so if we take your classes and we rearrange them, you could also get a gen ed degree. So all I had to do was they gave me a piece of paper and I checked the box. And then
That's awesome.
A couple weeks later, I had 2 degrees in the mail, which was
buy
pretty
one,
sweet.
get one free.
BOGO, yeah. BOGO degrees at Marine Valley Community College.
Yeah. Okay, so you did that for 2 years, and then what?
And then I took a semester off of school just to, get all my bearings straight for going to a big university like this. No one in my family had gone to a big university, so this was just kind of a time to, really get everything in the right path and make sure that we were doing everything that we needed to prepare myself for this. And then
What did that look like, if you don't mind me asking? Was that like financially, like you're working and getting money, or was that like you're reading up? What did that look like during that semester?
It was a lot of just kind of trying to send a lot of emails to advisors at Iowa State, make sure that whatever could transfer over from my community college transferred over here, and then just get everything the way that it needed to be, prepare myself, get like my meal plan set, where I was going to live. And my first semester was the COVID semester.
Oh yeah. That
Yeah.
was
So
great.
I was in Linden Hall.
Oh.
Prior
Poor soul.
prior to when it became the COVID Central,
Uh-huh.
where all the COVID people went.
The gulag. Yeah.
Your roommate doesn't come home one day and they're sick. Your teammate is into the gulag.
Yeah, seriously,
him out.
dude. Seriously, dude. I heard they were like, I heard stories of Monsters Inc. vans coming in of people in hazmat suits, like taking people away and stuffing them in Linden,
Oh,
where it's
God.
like a prison and they're fighting for fans because it's so hot in there.
I was there for half a semester, and I can tell you so many stories about living in Linden. It's ridiculous. The ceiling leaked twice in the same place.
Was it like a bad leak?
It was, so there was like a little commons area on our floor. We were on our side of Linden. We were the one floor of men.
Okay.
All the other floors were females. And so we had a little hangout spot called, I forget what it was called, the Shindig, I think it was called.
Legendary.
And so they, right above where the Shindig was all of the pipes for the showers above. That leaked. I came home from class one day. I think it leaked because of the polar vortex that came through.
Okay.
And so it was leaking, and it leaked so much that the drywall, or like the ceiling tiles, were melting, basically. Like they soaked up with water and they just formed pulp on the ground. And it was a mixture of water, pulp, and shampoo.
Yeah.
Our whole floor smelled like Garnier Fructis. And
Honestly, kind of a dub though.
it was interesting. And then it literally happened like almost a month to the day later.
That's crazy.
Like 4 or 5 ceiling tiles were out, and everyone was just like gathering around. Like this was a gathering aspect. Like we were pulling up like lawn chairs and like a couple of root beers.
Voting on gambling to see when certain tiles would fall.
Yeah. What's the over under on tiles coming down?
How many tiles? That's some Richardson Court business right there. That whole area is on fire. I know because I'm an RA in Roberts.
Oh God.
So that whole area is falling apart. But okay, so you came in the midst of COVID semester.
Midst of
like,
COVID.
about 2.5 years after you graduated.
Yeah.
And then after you graduated high school, and then
After I graduated high school, and then stayed there, did the half semester there. Then I went back for spring break, which turned out to be a permanent spring break. And then everything switched over. I went back about a month later to grab the rest of my stuff from my my dorm, basically. So I had all my clothes, but some of the stuff that was still there was like my gaming monitor that I have was still in my apartment or dorm, whatever. I had some other like books and things like that. And then like my winter jacket, just because I wasn't going to be there anymore. I knew after that I was going to be in an apartment with some friends that I had. And then, so I brought all that back and then did online for the rest of that. And then after that was COVID semesters.
yeah, which is
In person.
also worse. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was so bad.
I can't believe you trucked through that. And so that's kind of what amounted to why you're still working on the school nowadays.
Yeah, it affected me a lot. There was a lot of things that just went on mentally with, how COVID was affecting my experience. I just felt like I wasn't getting the full college experience with everything. And going between, having whether it was like in-person classes where we had to communicate and we had to talk and we had to, have teamwork, but we could barely hear each other because the room that we were in for this one class that we had, which was I think like ME 160 or something like that, whatever it was that we were working on, like a really big semester-long project, was like, we were trying to talk to each other and we couldn't really hear because like the ceiling fans were loud and the room had a lot of echo, and then trying to talk through the masks really wasn't working that well. So it was that, trying to communicate over like FaceTime or WebEx or whatever it was, and then making our a project that we ended up making still is hanging in the Boyd lab, by the way.
Well, I mean, that has to speak for something, though. I mean, if
it's pretty awesome.
If there's a test of perseverance, I think it would be getting through the difficulties of that and then having that project portrayed around all of campus for everyone to see. So.
Yeah, it's still in the classroom that's over by Boyd Lab, which is really cool. I still have videos of it working. It was a grain grinder that turned cocoa beans into cocoa powder.
Okay.
And so we tried to make it hand pump, but for some reason the hand pump wasn't working, so we hooked a drill up to it and flowed a bunch of peanuts through it. So we had like, let's say like half a bag of peanuts we went through in like 15 seconds.
Dang, I mean, that sounds like a good project.
Yeah.
It sounds like a success. I'd imagine that's why it's still in the classroom.
Yeah,
people were just...
it was that. We talked with Craig, who was the head guy over at Boyd Lab, and we had, I think our packet of drawings that we had was over like 150 drawings in a packet that we had for all the pieces.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it actually is like a complex piece of machinery.
Yeah, there are 4 different wheels. There was a one-way valve PVC pipe system that was basically like a turbine that was pumping air through the entire thing to try to separate the outside of the cocoa bean from the actual cocoa bean itself as it fell down, which was designed by one of the guys on the team who's an absolute genius. Like this dude, he reverse engineered a Nerf gun with a caliber and made a 3D render of it. Like
what?
Perfect 3D render of it.
See, it's people who are doing that. It's like, I'm so glad you're in engineering. Like, it's like, I'm so glad you chose to do what you're doing, because it is working for you.
Oh yeah, it's great. So, combining that, obviously that was work that paid off, but then, I took a break from improv for a little bit just because of, we had a show back at my place that I was at back home. So the place that I explained in the first episode. But we had shows on the outside patio as opposed to up in the attic of the place, which was fine. Like there's a lot of room for it. But the downside is I was right along Archer Avenue, which is a really busy street. So as we were trying to do a show, there would be like a motorcyclist or like a Subaru that goes by. It just kind of like blows everything out of the water and we can't really focus. So there wasn't really a lot of good improv that happened during that time. And I had a really good friend that there was some things that happened where they kind of like blocked me on everything. So that just kind of, it hit me hard. And there was a lot of struggle through just kind of like, going back to school and, just trying to power through it as best I could. But there's a lot of things that are on my shoulders and on my mind that, just weighed me down a lot. And I thought that just try to have a good foot forward and then try to do the same thing. It just kind of was like a coin flip basically of like, if I were to have a good day of like studying or if I just like didn't want to leave my bed. There was a lot of that for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, the whole COVID thing, I think gets underplayed. In high school, it was kind of like, okay, whatever, like it was unfortunate. But once you're in college and you had to sacrifice so much to even go to college. I mean, you left your hometown. You had the community college you're going to. You left your hometown to pursue something. You're paying a shit ton of money to go here. It's the most lackluster version of that you could possibly imagine.
Exactly. And not to mention, it's 5 hours in a car from where I am from, in south side of Chicago. And so it's a long way to, kind of be away from the people that I love and the people that I've known for my whole life. And so I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to meet a lot of really cool people that lived in me with Lyndon, and I still talk to them today that I met through that. My birthday my 21st birthday was the first Friday of the COVID semester, and I was lucky enough to, have met them enough, and, we celebrated and stuff like that, which, this is kind of funny, but before my parents left to drop me off in my dorm, my mom gave me an early birthday present, which was a fifth of Jim Beam vanilla that she put in my cabinet in my room. And she's just like, open this up when it's your birthday. And I'm like,
Yeah. You're like,
I will.
I know.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Mouth is salivating.
Yeah. So I lived right next to the RA that was on our floor, and he was cool with it just because he was just a really awesome dude. My man, Jimothy. Shout out Jimothy, by the way.
Jimothy. What a name.
So what we did was we went over to the C-store over by Seasons, and we got a couple of root beers. We drank a sip out of that, and then we put a shot of the Jim Beam in the root beer, and then we sat in the commons area and just played Super Smash Bros.
That sounds like the best 21st birthday party.
It was great.
Like
Yeah.
that sounds so sick. I'm a Smash player myself, dude. That's gonna be all. I mean, I had my 21st, so we didn't do anything, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be like my bachelor party looks like, is just
yeah.
playing Super Smash Bros. Or something.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm trying to continue on with this story, and so you kind of overpowered some of this COVID stuff, and then did it get a lot better like after COVID was over, or what had happened like in the most recent like 2 years or so?
Yeah. So there was a lot of balancing in between, my academic quality and, I had motivation to take myself out of some dark times where I was just like, classes were not going well, things that I had to take again and stuff like that, just because with COVID and everything, it just didn't make the experience good. And I didn't really know the good resources to find because a lot of them weren't available with COVID. I would say probably one of my darkest time through all this was probably back in like last October to December. I didn't want to do anything, and it was just really bad. I felt like nothing was working out. I was just really down on myself. So last semester, I took it upon myself to be like, okay, I don't want to go through this again, because I was driving to school this last semester in the spring, and like I was basically in tears the whole way, because I was just thinking like, I don't want to do this again, and it's going to be like the same thing over. And so I took it upon myself to be like, okay, I need to get help now. So I went to the psychiatrist, and they prescribed me antidepressants, and it brought me out of a hole, and it really basically put a 180 on everything. And so since then, from the start of the semester to now, I've had my best academic semester that I've had since being at the university with the classes that I had, which I'm really happy about myself for that. Successfully put my stamp and, a good ending point on my Mojo's career. Have the co-op that I was able to earn, and have the most fantastic girlfriend right now who's really carried me through that and kept me on the right track. And she, she's a lifesaver. She's the icing on the cake for this rocky road that I've overcome over the last year and a half. Like the last year and a half was just it culminated to be one of the roughest parts of my life, and just going through that and then being where I am now. It's just, I couldn't be happier to be here right now. It's great.
I'm really happy that you're here. And I'm really happy that you're comfortable just like sharing these things and saying these things. And I think, I think it's just an incredible perseverance story to go through this. And I kind of want to talk about that, because when we get into conversations like this, my main goal is to discover what are the things, like what are the aspects that helped carry you out of these things. So when someone else is going through something like this and they're listening to it, like I want them to feel heard
Yeah.
in saying what, but I also want to give them something to hold on to so that they can come out better. And so
Yeah.
I guess like, what would your advice be for people who are going through something like that?
It's, obviously when a lot of people saw me, they knew me as the guy that made everyone laugh at Mojo's. And yeah, Mojo's was still, and I'll say this till the day I die, Mojo's was a big part of why I'm still here today, because like, when I had my last show last semester, which unfortunately was the last show for me and 3 other seniors, that was the first time that I cried doing improv. And I really let the crowd know and everyone know that like, this was basically a life-saving part of my life. And, I will always be a firm believer that laughter is the best medicine. So, what I would basically say to someone that's kind of went through what I did was that sometimes all you got to do is just laugh, because you may never know when you're on a stage and you're trying to make people laugh. You don't know what kind of life the person in the front row is living. You don't know what kind of life the person in the last row is leaving, or everyone in between. When I go up on stage, I want to take people out of a reality where they have all that turmoil and all that sadness that they may be dealing with that I don't know that they're dealing with, because basically I just try to make a reality where everything's okay, a reality where you can be somewhere where insanity happens, but in the best way possible. Because, on the first episode, when I said that I wanted to basically make my improv a culmination of everyone that I've ever done improv with, was because of the fact that they have become such a big part of who I am as a person and who I am as a performer, that I wanted to use that and give what I've learned to help me be the person that I am, and try to give that to other people. So for 2 hours in a week, every other week, to try to give them a sense of a world where everything is funny, everything is crazy, and there's not a worry that you have to think about. So what I would say is that, a little smile can go a really, really long way. It may be a smirk, it may be a grin, you may be belly chuckling till it hurts and it gives you abs. But a little bit can culminate into a much better life and a much better way of living. So that's what I'd say.
I mean, I completely agree, and I think that's wonderful. What's sad though is like you're saying all these things about improv, but to help with this kind of like mental state and to help pursue it, you said that you kind of had to drop that to pursue like your professional career, and so it's like it's basically like saying like here's some really awesome thing that I did, but I'm not doing it anymore. So are we supposed to worry about you, or like
no,
what are we?
I just I feel like I did what I felt was needed for my time being on the troupe. I didn't want to, bring, if I were to go through something bad, like I didn't want to bring it to them. I didn't want them to worry about me or bring the show down, because I don't want to, use me as a way to affect people's emotions in a negative way. And I mean, I did that after shows. I lost both my grandparents last semester, basically a month apart, and I powered through that to not let it affect the shows, where I was basically almost in tears and stuff like that, because like, my grandparents are a big part of my life. I was fortunate enough to be really close to them. And so I just really want to focus on getting through this. And then obviously I'm still probably going to do improv when I'm done, like when I actually graduate and stuff like that. But like, I still go to the shows when I can. I still talk to them, and I went on Wednesday for the Freaky Friday show, which was a really awesome time. I was able to see the new Mojo that they added this semester, and she is awesome. She's really sweet. She's got a really good stage presence, and it's really good to see the future of the Mojos, that it's going to be really, really strong with everyone that's on stage. So it's good to still be a part of it, and I still like to give my constructive, input, because they still have the thing post show where they do the Thorns and Roses, where they talk about the positives and the negatives, and they happily invite me to still participate with that and give my view from a crowd perspective. So I still like doing what I can, but with my co-op and how much I travel, I can't really I knew going into this semester that it was going to be almost impossible for me to be a part of the troupe with. If I were to do a co-op or an internship, I would have a lot on my plate with school or how much I would travel. I go with my co-op, I've been pretty much 2/3 of the time I've been traveling to Omaha for work. So it's, there's a lot there, but I still love them dearly, and go see them, please. It's $1 every other Wednesday. I am plugging this. I don't care.
No, please do.
When they do After Dark, because I know that they will. Go to After Dark.
Yeah.
Please.
Their shows are really good. They're really funny, and Improv is it's the easiest thing to sit down and watch. There's you don't need to be into anything.
No.
You just need to, as long as you're into people being funny, you're gonna like it.
Because it's completely unexpected every single time. Because every single thing is based upon what the crowd gives us. So.
And some shows are really wild, and some shows are tame but funny and constructed, and some are just random word generated.
They're pretty wild all the time.
Yeah, they're pretty wild all the time.
Yeah.
It's really good. Okay, so you had these great successes. You had kind of the pit of despair, and then you're kind of climbing out of that now. And then I want, what does the future look like for you?
So I've done a lot of really cool hobbies since on the side from me being a Mojo and me being an engineer. I have a 3D printer now, which is awesome.
It's every man's dream.
Yeah, the 3D printer is really sweet. As a matter of fact, I have a keychain that I made, my girlfriend and I designed this myself in AutoCAD. It's a broken heart that we matched together with a heart with an infinity symbol, just because.
That's really cute.
It's really sweet, and she loves it too, and it's real cheap.
Yeah, so you made it yourself. So
yeah. I'm fortunate enough to have been taught how to use AutoCAD really well, so I can make a lot of really cool stuff and print them up. And I have a bunch of really cool colors. I have this filament that's flexible when you print it. So I have a buddy who's in a fraternity, and I went to one of their outlet houses, and one of the guys there, he has several 3D printers, and he actually 3D printed the bar mats with the logo of the house on the bar mat, which is the coolest thing ever.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang.
So I've been toying around with that a lot. I play a lot of Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering is awesome. I don't care if you people think it makes you look nerdy. But it's just a good time to meet a lot of good people and a lot of good friends.
I want to get to the Magic thing in a second, because I'm a Magic player, but I want to kind of round this out with kind of looking into the future. I think an important thing when you're talking about depression or pits that you get into, or these harder parts in life, is that once you get through them, if you ever do, or if you're still in them, you need to be thinking about what does the future look like if something like this happens again?
Yeah.
Because if you're at the will of the environment around you, this will happen again. Yeah. As unfortunate as it sounds, this will happen again. And so I guess if you were to look at yourself in the future, what things are you going to be doing? Especially when medication gets involved, antidepressants and stuff like that, you got to begin to question the lifelong livelihood of this. So it's do I want to be taking medication for the rest of my life for this? What are the kind of long-term things? Do you have any ideas of things that you've learned through this that you want to apply later, or?
So I was fortunate enough to have the prescription that I had take me out of it and keep me out of it for the current moment in time. So I'm really happy about that. But I feel like I know that I have resources, and I know that people aren't going to be mad at me for asking for help. Both sides of my family, it was kind of hereditary, and I didn't realize that until I was at a really dark place. But, in my opinion, I feel like just looking at the positives in life a lot more, and knowing that there's ways to really truly helped me out. And so I feel like just looking to people that I know that care for me and, care about my well-being and stuff like that, going to them and saying like, hey, I may not be having a really good time right now. Can I rely on you? I know that they'll be there. And so looking forward to that. I'm excited for using my imagination in a much better mind state to do good things in the world.
Like in specifically with like engineering and
Yeah.
3D printing when you start.
Engineering, 3D printing, improv, if I were to do that in a more, outside standpoint or a location where like a lot more people would go to it or have a bigger influence. I like the mind state of me being someone that can help people and still feel good about myself. So that's definitely something that I'm happy about. And, I love the future that I have ahead of me, and I'm happy for it. I'm looking so forward to it. You have no idea.
I love you. That's like my favorite thing to hear with any conversation that I'm having with people is just like,
Oh, dude.
I love the way that forward looks.
Yeah.
and that's so awesome. And because the thing I'd hate to see the most is, hearing you talk about these things in like such a mountain that you climbed over and got over, and now you're on the top of it. And I just wouldn't want you to see another mountain like right in front of you and have to like go all the way back down and go climb up. And so I'm a really big proponent of studying like what are the long-term things that we can do. And so I guess specifically with the things that you're thankful for, I guess my advice would be to like find a way to make sure that you're remembering those things.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when it is, because it's easy to love the way your future looks when it's like on your mind, but when the future gets here, you might not have something like that. And so like you're going to need something that grounds you down to the goodness that you're living right now.
Yeah.
Having a girlfriend makes that really easy.
Yeah.
So that's really wonderful too.
She's the best. I can't say enough good things about her. She's really incredible. But like when you say climbing mountains and stuff like that, I feel like with the mountain that I climbed, there's going to be hills that I'm going to climb in the future. And right now I feel like I can not only climb mountains, but I can leap planets. And
that's good, dude. That's good. Get flying, man.
Oh,
Get flying. That's awesome to hear.
Oh yeah.
And I'm really glad that you felt that you were able to just open that up with me and talk to me about that. I mean, very rarely do I get to have conversations like that, especially like on air and things like that. No. I'm actually a psych major, so it's like my thing.
Yeah, no, in my opinion, I feel like it's pointless to hide things that you shouldn't want to show to people. Like I like to be real because I feel like lying about my mental state is just bullshit. So I want to be as real and as me as I can be to everyone else, because that's just the way that I think and the way that I be myself. So I just like talking about these things just because like I feel like it has a better connection because it's real stuff. It's real stuff.
Well, and it seemed like you maybe choosing to not talk about it in the past influenced how you felt, and that if you had maybe opened up sooner, like opening up is what helped you.
It is
what I've heard.
It is, so. And now I have no shame in talking about whatever it may be. Like I have a really good thought process and wanting to, talk about the things that I want to talk about, or really power through things that might be affecting me, affecting other people. I have no shame in talking about whatever it may be. So if you want to have a conversation with me and you see me, I can talk about whatever you want to talk about, and I'll try to soothe you with this buttery smooth voice of mine.
It's so nice. I'm in heaven right now. This is it's like I'm the first contact of this, so it's wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, and so that's awesome. Is there anything else you wanted to touch up on that with your journey? Like, any more advice you want to give to people who are going through something like that, or?
I give great hugs.
Yeah.
Hugs are awesome. I'm a big advocate because I've heard from people that I give really good ones. I've also read that hugging for longer than 20 seconds is actually like physically and mentally like basically medicine. Like
What?
it improves your overall, like it gives you dopamine and happiness from having that physical contact for a long time. So if you need a hug and you see me, run as fast as your little legs can carry you and hug me, damn it.
My legs are average, okay? Like well above average.
Compared to me, they're small, all right?
Average. I mean, like bigger legs would like probably hurt for a hug.
I'm
right?
6'2", like 5 feet of that is all thigh, big dog. All right?
Adam, I think I need an Adam hug right now, live.
Right now,
live. I would like to be able to tell the audience what
All
this
right.
hug feels like.
All right, we're doing this.
Okay. Here we go. That was a good.
You see?
I can say with confidence, live, that hug was wonderful.
Dude.
There was the amount of warmth. There was the amount of security. The height does wonders.
The height is great. I have really long arms.
Yeah.
Being 6'2", I think my wingspan's got to be 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
So there's a lot of full grasp.
I know.
And I've been told by my girlfriend and a lot of people that I'm basically a space heater.
Yeah.
I'm warm.
The wool polo.
Oh, yeah.
Almost had me breaking a sweat. Like that was.
It's great.
That felt like I was tucked in bed.
Oh, yeah.
That was wonderful. That is a wonderful hug.
Oh yeah.
I see where the legend status. That's what's going to be on the thumbnail is professional hugger. Like
Professional hugger.
Professional hugger.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had told me that you went to Vegas
Yes.
to play Magic.
Yes, sir.
Walk me through that.
Yeah. So we went last weekend. So that was September 22nd, whatever it was, the weekend of that. So I'll break down the experience at the airport.
Okay.
Because this was, I haven't flown a plane. Well, I haven't flown a plane. I've never been on a plane. I hadn't been on a plane in like 10, 12 years. Last time was to California, straight shot. So basically what we did was, the plan was we were supposed to go down to Houston and then connecting flight from Houston to LAX to Vegas. So the flight from here to Houston, perfectly fine. It was really early in the morning. I think I woke up at 2 a.m. on Thursday, the 21st. So I flew down there, and then for some reason I had to wait a little bit to get my plane ticket. My connecting flight was at the same place, but it was at an earlier time than the other two people that I went with. So I went, called United, got my flight switched to the right one, and then a couple hours passed by, and they say that the connecting flight that would have come to Houston to LAX was running late, and there was only about a 45-minute gap in between when we would land and then when the next plane would take off.
It's a horror movie.
Yeah. So we booked it to United. We ran over to their section of Houston Airport, and we ended up getting our flight switched for a straight shot from Houston to Las Vegas. We ended up being at Houston Airport for, drumroll please, 9 hours.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a full-time workday.
Oh yeah. But we luckily we talked a lot. We did a lot of good persuading, and we each got two $15 vouchers.
Okay.
So I had Potbelly, had Wendy's at the airport. We played Magic in the airport.
That's what I was about to. I was like, you have your cards.
We have our cards in our backpacks, so we played Magic the whole time, and it was great. Then we got to Vegas. We stayed at Circus, which was right across from the Las Vegas Convention Center, where our convention was going to be at. And then, so Friday to Sunday, they had the convention that was going on the entire time. So the thing opened at 10. They had a bunch of vendors.
It was a Magic convention.
Magic the Gathering convention, okay. MagicCon Vegas.
Okay.
So they had the whole convention. They had a bunch of vendors of like local game stores that would buy, trade, sell Magic cards, Magic accessories. They also had the Tabletop World Championship, which was really awesome.
Did you guys get to watch that?
We got to watch it. We sat down in the main stage. So there's like a really big projecting screen where they had an episode of the really big Commander show that's on YouTube, Game Nights. They had that live. And so everyone sat down to watch the grand finals. And it was really awesome because it's modern, which is like cards that were released in like the last couple of years. So they have that. And then everyone just watched the guy that ended up winning 3-0 sweep.
It's a commander?
No, it was modern.
Oh,
so
okay. What is the difference?
modern is so you can only use cards from that have released in Magic over the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
There are 60 card decks. You could have up to 4 copies of a card that aren't basic lands. And you basically just do best 3 out of 5, 2 out of 3 versions of that. So Commander, 100 card decks, every single card is different. But then Modern, Standard, whatever that may be, 60 card decks, you could have up to 4 copies per card, and you don't really have a commander that you play with.
Those are the rules that I play. I play Modern, but not with all my cards are ancient because my dad was a collector, and we don't have any of the new stuff at all. So,
but honestly, that's fine because some of those old cards are not only extremely broken, but they're really valuable.
Yeah. There was one, I was just talking about it. It is so old that it had the tap symbol is in the T side.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And then it was an artifact that cost 1 and it destroys all planes in the game.
Ooh.
That's it.
I'm trying to think of what that is.
So useless for like any other deck unless you're playing with a white deck, and then it's the most broken card. It was banned, but like it's still so funny.
That's brutal.
But
oh my God.
Okay, wait. So you're watching. How do they moderate a game of Magic? Is there a moderator that kind of explains what's going on, or are you guys literally just watching in silence the magic happen?
So they had commentators for the live stream. They had a live stream online where they were streaming it, and they also had on the main stage, they had like the main host of the weekend, because they had a bunch of events at the weekend that were talking about like, they had artists that were there that made some of the cards that you could actually, they had booths that you could sign them. So they had talks with some artists. They had talks about the lore of Magic itself. And they had a whole bunch of stuff. And so they sat on the main stage with some of the people that like created the game of Magic and like kind of moderate the professional side of it. So they were talking on the stage and they're throwing out free packs, which is sweet.
That's awesome.
And so we all watched that. The guy won it, jumped up. The trophy is sweet, by the way. It's a big trophy that's got the magic symbol on top, and there's like flames coming out of the chalice and stuff. It's really sweet looking.
Did he have a crazy pop off?
Oh, he had a crazy pop. There was a crazy pop off like in the quarterfinals. I was walking past it because they had the stage by the escalators, and then you walk by and there's more vendors in the back, but they were just kind of there. You could watch what they were doing, but they were kind of doing their own thing, and you just kind of were like a passerby. But one of the guys popped off and did like the hands down full flex.
Yeah.
Like, yes. Oh God. The adrenaline is real in this bitch. All right.
And then he got 3-0 swept.
And then he got swept in the next round. I didn't see his face again.
He left. He went straight home from Vegas.
Yeah, you could take that all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
That pop off is
in
the rafters.
I would say that sounds so awesome because with Magic, there's just a million cards. And so the fact that there's vendors there who are like trading, like you could just, the stories that they probably have and like finding out who has like the rarest ones, like who has the Black Lotus?
Yep.
Yeah. Did you see that there?
There were Black Lotuses there.
That's crazy.
They weren't alpha because they would have been a lot. They had one of the vendors had a unlimited Black Lotus, which was 12 grand.
That's crazy.
Yeah. They had like the Power 9, so some of the cards from the first edition that are banned in every single mode and have never been printed since 93. They had, so the Power 9 are the 9 cards that basically have formed the game as we know it. So Black Lotus is one of them. They have a Mox, which is a artifact that's a 0-cost artifact that taps for 1 of a certain color. So that makes up 5. And then Time Walk, Ancestral Recall, and Time Twister.
Do you know what they do?
Yes.
What do they do?
Black Lotus, obviously, 0 mana artifact. Sacrifice it for 3 mana of any color. Extremely broken.
What happens when you sacrifice it? Do you get 3 mana?
You get 3 mana of any color.
Okay.
It costs 0 to play the artifact.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so broken. The Moxes, so they have Mox Mox Ruby, Mox Sapphire, Mox Jet, Mox Pearl, and then Mox Emerald. So there's 0 mana artifacts that tap for 1 color of one of the 5 colors of Magic.
Okay.
Ancestral Recall is 1 blue for draw 3 cards for 1 blue.
Just as much at once per turn? Just
It's an instant.
Oh, okay.
It's an instant. You pay 1 blue to draw 3 cards. So that's 1. Time Walk is 1 and a blue to take an extra turn.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Time Twister is, I think, either 1 and a blue or 2 and a blue to shuffle your hand in graveyard and draw a new 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's so crazy though is like you talk about some of these cards, and then on the other side of old Magic, there are cards that are unusably bad.
Yeah.
Like there's one that's like a summon unicorn, and it's costs 5 mana. It's just a 3/3. That's it.
Yeah.
But and then the funniest thing is there's this one card that pisses me off so bad. It's this elf, and it costs 3 green, and it's a 3/3, and you tap it for 3 mana. That's its ability. That's just
actually not bad.
It's like objectively better than any card.
Yeah.
That that like is close to that. Like I would pay 3 mana for just a 3/3 period.
Yeah.
Let alone like getting 3, like doubling your mana.
Yeah, dude.
Every turn. So stuff like that, it's like that compared to that dumbass unicorn is so funny to me.
It's crazy. Dude, now I have one of my creatures. It's a 5 mana 12/12
What?
with trample.
What? Why? Is that all Drowsy?
Nope.
Oh, it's just chilling.
Dinosaur Vampire.
That's so crazy. That's people are listening to this and they're like, "What the hell are these guys?" I love talking about Magic.
Magic
because
is
I don't
sweet.
get it. I don't get to talk about.
Play Magic.
I say I don't get to talk about Magic because it's one of those things where my dad used to collect them. Like I don't know when Magic started, but it was like early enough. I'd say probably like 2007.
Magic?
Yeah. So he started playing-
1993.
So he started collecting them
he
in
started
2007.
collecting, okay.
Yeah, sorry. No. He started collecting them in like 2007, 2008. So all my cards are like pretty old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he stopped collecting them, I don't know, like 2012, and that's when he taught us how to play. And we bought maybe only a handful of new cards, like 12 new cards or something, and then put them in these decks. But we've created decks based on those random ass cards that he collected.
Oh yeah.
And so like if I played with my decks in an actual tournament, I'd get walloped.
Yeah.
Like I have no crazy card combos. Like the only deck that would maybe fare a chance is my mono burn deck. That's the only one that might end up working. But even then, I think it would still get patty whapped by like some like I'm watching clips of people playing like online Magic, and they have like, oh, I draw this card. Okay, the game's over.
Yeah.
Like none of that. Not even close to any of that.
I've seen there's a compilation. If you are into the game of Magic or want to be a Magic player one day, there's a video where a guy shows a bunch of turn 1 wins, and there's actually a turn 0 win.
What?
Yeah.
What do you know what exactly happens?
So there's a card that you could play that if you have it in your hand, it's a land that enters the battlefield. And if you have it in your opening hand, you could have it on the battlefield before the game starts.
Okay.
So you use that to then play a 1 mana spell there's a certain one where you could like play a card that there's no lands in the deck because there's certain creatures that you can have that are creatures, but the backside is a land. So you get to this card called Goblin Charbelcher where you have them attack or tap and you mill cards until you hit a land and then you hit someone for however many damage that is.
Yeah.
So given the fact that you have no lands in your deck, you tap it and you hit them for 60 damage.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, it's stuff like that. It's like those combos that are just like wild. And I'm watching people like they don't even explain why they lose. Like, bend is over.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
So like you get like a couple packs, you're like, oh, I want to try this out, and you see that and you're just like,
like I don't think I want to. If someone pulls that out, I'm never playing ever again.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I've ever played a game of Magic that ended before turn 8 or 9. You know what I mean? Like it's always just like a classic damage to damage.
Classic
like,
swing face.
Yeah.
And hope for the best.
Yeah. Just like it's just sustained damage in different fun kinds of ways. So I'm trying to think. There's this one card that we had, Platinum Angel.
Yep.
Which is the game
You can't win.
You can't win and can't
An
lose.
opponent or opponents can't win, you can't lose.
Yeah. And so we had that, and then there's this spirit that makes every creature immune, like hexproof, just period.
Yeah.
And then I think hexproof, you have to hit him with 2 spells to like do it. It's like the Platinum Angel was just like virtually invincible unless you could hit them with 2 spells that game. And so it lasted like 80 turns because we were just like milling the deck waiting for.
I remember a couple semesters ago, I had a Friday lab that was at 8:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And so they have Thursday night Commander at Mayhem. So I go there relatively often, and I was playing this game. We started at like 10. I was like, okay, this is gonna be a fine game. Everything's gonna be all right. You know, we're gonna play this game. I'm gonna have plenty of time to go. 3.5 hours later,
What?
the game ended.
You were playing in that game?
I was playing in the game. Everyone stayed. 4 people lasted 3.5 hours.
What happened? Was there a specific entity that allowed that to happen, or?
So I played a card that phased all of the creatures out for as many turns as there were creatures on the battlefield, and no one had a way to remove it. So it was basically all the creatures phased out of the game for like 16 turns.
So you guys just kept drawing?
So we kept drawing until we rebuilt our board state. No one countered it. And then I think I may have played there's this card called Upheaval that return all permanents to their owner's hands.
Bro.
That's lands included.
Oh, so wait. So yeah, you didn't...
I basically restarted the game twice.
I would say you didn't play one game. You played 3 games.
Basically played 3 games,
that you restarted
it was
the 4
nuts.
times. That's brutal with 4 people too, because you
my
have to go
God.
through each of their entire turns.
So
like
I ended up,
times.
I didn't get back to my apartment until about 2 in the morning.
Did you win?
No.
Oh.
No, I got smoked.
all that work.
Yeah.
All that work for nothing.
But yeah, anyways, back to the convention.
Yes.
So it from Monday, or not Monday, Friday and Saturday, it was from 10 to midnight. So they had vendors that were there.
10 a.m. to midnight?
10 a.m. to midnight. So they had vendors open until about 6 or 7, but then they had a free play area where people could just play Magic until midnight.
That's so cool.
So
how many people were at this? Like lowball me.
Oh God, I have videos of it. I'd say 3,000.
Wow. Okay.
It like the Vegas Convention Center is big.
Is it like the biggest Magic convention that goes on?
Okay. Magic on Vegas is the biggest one that they have, and so they had that. They had a bunch of tournaments that they were having throughout the weekend. So they had a bunch of different formats. They had Commander. You could play Precon. You could do Secret Layers only. You could do all this other stuff. Throughout the entire weekend, they also had a $100,000 open. That lasted.
$100,000.
Winner got like a ticket to compete in the next year's World Championship and stuff. Like there was a lot on the line, and there was a lot of like money on the line. There were prizes of like really rare, really dope art cards, and so there was a bunch of tables, and there were a lot of people that played like the whole time. So after we had checked out basically all the vendors and stuff that were on Friday, Saturday, I played Commander for 12 hours straight.
oh, dude.
Yeah.
Like I'm a Magic player, but touch grass and then come back and play more Magic, dude.
They had food there, and I mean it was right outside. Was like basically right next to where the strip was. Like it was pretty close to the Sphere.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we drove by the Sphere from our way to the airport to
you guys
the
get to
hotel.
also see Vegas a little bit. Too.
Yeah. So we did that, and then they had food there. There was a lot of walking around to do because obviously the convention center was massive. But I was lucky enough to actually play a game with 3 different YouTube creators, which was really sweet.
Oh, who?
So MTG Goldfish. I got to play with him. I actually won the game on a double infinite combo, which is really sweet. And he complimented my deck. That made my weekend.
That's awesome.
I played with, there's this guy who does like a bunch of like science videos who's really big into Magic. His name's Kyle Hill.
Okay.
He does like a bunch of really cool science videos. And then one of the people that's a member of Game Nights, Ashlyn Rose. I got to play with her. She was one of the people that played in the first episode that Post Malone was on game nights, and I actually got to play against her deck that she used when she played with Post Malone.
Dang, dude. So vicariously, you got to basically be Post Malone.
I played some legendary decks in the frame of Magic, and it was so sweet. It was so awesome. It was just an absolute blast the whole time.
I wish I was more well educated. I think I needed to just do more research on Magic because the whole like, I don't know what other cards exist beyond the cards that I have, but I know them. So you could flash me a picture and I'd be able to tell you everything about it. But beyond that, I don't know any cards. Like, what are even good cards? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know these things. It's so crazy.
I researched this recently, and I think there's over 20 something or 30 something thousand unique Magic cards that have been released since 93.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, and you're talking about these legendary decks. It's like, I couldn't even begin to fathom.
Yeah.
Like, what is the idea of the deck? You know what I mean? Like, I don't even get it.
There's different things that different decks do. There's try to win the game as soon as possible decks. There's make a bunch of creatures and swing face with it. There's counter everyone's stuff and be an asshole to everyone at the table. And
blue.
Then, yes. And then there's just everything in between. There's like tribal decks where you could play a whole deck that's revolved around a certain creature type or whatever it may be. But, you know, I got to see the whole spectrum at the convention.
Are those viable? Like, because I would say that's 80% of my decks are like tribal, like satisfying because it involves all vampires. You know
there's a lot of decks that are really good, especially with vampires. There's a lot of really cool vampire decks. There's commanders that make it discounted. They give discounts to certain creature types that you have. There's certain artifacts that give like all your creatures +1/+1 for each other creature you have the same creature type.
Yeah, it's an elf type. Elf
Elves
deck.
are gross.
Yeah. I'm trying to think because like there's this one card that I have in a mill deck that is a 5/5 flying vampire. It costs like 7 mana because it doesn't deal damage. What it instead does is it causes you to mill that many cards and it doubles each time you deal player damage.
Oh god.
So it's just like basically if you can't block flying, your game ends in like
you're
5
screwed.
turns. Like 4 turns. Mm-hmm. It's such a bizarre card. You know, like that seems good, but I'd imagine that like if I busted that out, it just get like countered instantly.
There's this one commander. His name's Nekuzar, and I've played against the guy who built a deck where I was drawing 6 cards on my upkeep and taking 18 damage.
What?
Yeah.
It's like that would kill my deck instantly. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'd just be gone. Like in any deck I'm playing with something like that. It'd just be game over for me. Mm-hmm. Just be game over. Do they still have, with that tournament that you watch, do they still have that rule where you get to create a card when you win a tournament?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what that guy created?
They haven't released it yet, but I've seen several cards in the past where
Sorry.
There's a loud thud.
I know, it sounded like
someone's breaking in.
Someone's like, are you guys talking about Magic the Gathering? Like, bursts into the door.
Just whips his deck out.
Yeah.
Deck. I said deck.
Deck. Whoa.
I said deck.
I'm going to censor that.
E. There's an E, not an I. Don't worry about it.
So we were talking about the creator, what that guy created.
I forget exactly what it did. It was pretty good. It wasn't great, but it was pretty good.
What do you think the ban rate on those cards are? It's got to be like 90%, right?
There was a probably pretty close. I know that there was a card. I actually own a card that got banned before the set was released.
What?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's a commander that it's a companion. So it was a new thing that they invented in this set that came out a couple years ago. Basically, if you could put it in your hand for 3 mana, and then you can cast it to copy a spell at flash speed.
Oh.
For 1 and a blue.
Okay.
To copy a spell and as a creature. So they were just like, okay, this is too powerful to have in Commander because the stipulation for it is because for Companion, you have to have your deck follow the rules of the card to be your companion. So like, there's one where your deck has to be at least 20 cards over the maximum. There's one where all of your cards have to only be 1 color. There's one where like all of your cards can either all of your creatures can either be X amount of creature types. His was all the cards in your deck have to be a different name. In Commander,
That's already the
thing.
Yeah.
So it's basically just a copy spell that you already have at the helm.
Yeah, and the stipulation with Commander is that they all have to be different cards.
They all have to be different cards. So you could just have it there.
Yeah, you just have as many of those cards.
And you're
going
to copy like the craziest spell you have in your deck.
Yeah. So that
at
is
free will, basically.
I can see why that's totally nuts.
Yeah.
The only creator cards that I remember is there's this one where you have to, it's like something confetti, where you have to tear up the card and blow it out onto the field.
My God.
And any piece of card that touches gets destroyed.
I know that card.
Yeah.
That card that's awesome.
Yeah. It's like, that was like one of the creator cards, or there's one like the cheese stands alone, where if, like you play that or whatever. And
there's one where like you have to drop the card from 3 feet in the air. Whatever it lands on, it destroys.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like stuff like that. Like those like weird, like, say your favorite animal, and if it's also the favorite animal of someone else, they lose.
Yeah.
It's like dumb creator cards like that.
Dumb stuff like that.
Would you have any? Like, imagine that you create a card. Do you have any ideas for?
Ooh, man, I haven't really thought of this.
It's like I don't think I have an idea either, but
man, I could think of so many different things that I could probably put on it. Probably something like maybe like an enchantment that would give your creatures infect. Because
oh my God,
they don't have that.
Yeah, well, because infect is the most garbage. We have an infect deck. So the way that me and my brother plays, we have 15 decks that we've made with all the cards that we have. Mm-hmm. And you just don't play the infect deck. Like you just don't do it because it's the most garbage idea for a card.
I have a gross deck that can give infect at attack speed. Like
what?
Yeah. So I have a commander where it deals damage on attack based upon the equipment that it's attached to. So by the mana value of the equipment that's attached to it. If I equip a grafted exoskeleton, which is it's a thing that gives your creature +2/+2 an infect, on attack, you can deal 4 damage to any target, including players. And because of the fact of the grafted exoskeleton, you can, on attack trigger, give someone 4 poison counters.
That ends the turn in 3 turns minimum.
Well, not to mention, there's also things that can triple red damage, and it has red in its commander cost. So if you have that, 1 shot.
That's insane. Yeah. Infect was the most disgusting. What we did is we had this already like gross infect deck because it just changes the way the game is played. You just turn your counter down to 10, just halves your health. And then what we did is we just added a bunch of giant growths on there. It's like those one instant.
No.
So like,
no.
so like a 1/1 infect, and you see that you have 3 mana open, and you're like, I'll just let it hit it, and you're just like, shell out 4. You bring out, then you pop your deck out, and then and then you do like 9 infect damage, and the game's over.
The Sigma move is to put it. You get a Birds of Paradise, which is a 1/1 flyer. And then you drop a Titanic growth and give it +10/+10 and infect.
Yeah, and then it's just game over.
And then it's just game over. You die to a Birds of Paradise, dog.
Yeah, so I'm surprised. I thought, for some reason, is infect like a well-known, like, nuanced thing in Magic?
They haven't printed infect in, God, it's been since the mid-2000s or like early 2010s. They basically made a new ability that's like a more well-defined version of infect. It's called toxic. Basically, toxic, as opposed to the power of your creature dealing that many poison counters, if it has toxic, say it has toxic 2, you take the damage from the creature, but then you also get that many poison counters.
Okay.
So you get 2 poison counters instead of whatever your power
whatever
of your
your
creature
damage
is.
was.
Yeah.
Okay. But did they end up banning infect, or is infect like completely viable? Are people
Infect
using
is still viable, but they've also got a lot of cards that do. They made a set that was completely around toxic, giving poison counters, profiting from poison counters, and a lot of proliferation.
What is proliferation?
If you cast a thing with proliferate, you can add a counter of any kind to any target.
Oh.
So if someone has a poison counter and you play proliferate, you're just like,
another one.
Add that 1 to a 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turn that 1 to a 2. You could do that to any any target that you have that has counters on it, any player, any whatever, you could add another counter to it.
So is infect bad then? Like,
No, infect is still good.
okay, so people are still, is that like would you see that at like in a tournament? People, that's so funny to think about because I feel like I know like every infect card because of that infect deck. Whenever my dad was buying cards, it was around the infect era, like and slightly before.
Yep.
So
just grab a Triumph of the Hordes, give all your creatures infect and trample till end of turn, and then
and then
win.
Just win the game. That's crazy.
That's how Magic is played, ladies and gentlemen.
For those of you getting into Magic, just buy an infect deck.
Just buy an infect deck,
and you'll be good.
Oh yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, start throwing the Gaze Anthem in there or something stupid or whatever the green version of it is. Something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's so classic. I'm trying to think of the other cards. I know in my burn deck, we have 4 fire elementals, which so like and there's old lightning bolts that are just 3 damage, instant 3 damage for 1 red mana, and you just play one of those and you just deal like 20 damage directly to a player. Like it's crazy stuff like that, but like that would never happen in a real game because if fire elemental, you hopefully have won the game before you're able to play 4 fire elementals.
Yeah, it's that cheese.
Yeah, well, because we have those and we have the Tims that untap on red spell. We have 4 of those.
Oh god.
Or on red. And so like we're timming you constantly. Then we have another one that recasts red instance if it hits a player.
No.
And so then like you're timming, like you have 4 Tims timming all the time. You're double casting like every fireball. It's so crazy.
Dude, if I played against it and that popped off, there would be a fist-sized hole in my drywall.
Yeah, so I'd say that's definitely our most. We have another elf deck, which is just viable. Any elf deck is going to be like good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we have one that's like you turn your land into trees that are indestructible and like based on how many creatures you have, and like you're also healing based on the amount of creatures and like doubles 1/1 elf tokens. It's disgusting. It's like one of those things where it's like, okay, here's my 30/30 invincible tree folk.
God.
Yeah, so stuff like that, but I don't know.
Oh, that's
What decks are you normally running?
I have 7 commander decks now.
Okay.
I have one that is solely based around making my commander huge. I've gotten it to a 120/120.
What? How did they even, is it just adding counters?
Adding counters, I have ways to double counters, and then double the double counters, and then double the double counters again.
I know there's like a Hydra thing. It's like a Simic.
Guess
like you
what?
put it on there. Is that the way?
It's a Hydra.
Yeah.
It's Golgari.
Yeah. So
it's awesome. I have that. I have Artifact Life Gain. I have Equipment Tribal. I have they made a Precon Eldrazi deck. I got that. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks to play against. Like everyone wants to kill your commander as soon as it comes out. They know that you're playing it. They're just like, he dies first.
Yeah.
It says colorless creatures you cast that are CMC 7 or greater get Cascade.
What is Cascade?
If you cast a spell that has Cascade, you flip cards off the top of your library until you hit something that has a lesser mana value.
And does that get played out too?
Play it on the battlefield for free.
That's insane. And does that also have Cascade normally? Like you try to
there is a way
deck?
there is a way to double the counters on it. You can double the trigger. So you can get quadruple Cascade off of a 7 CMC spell.
Oh my god.
Or greater. So everything on the deck, the average CMC is like 8. So I could play a spell that's 13 CMC and I could flip into a 12 and an 11 and then a 10.
This is like a Magic speed run.
This is a Magic speed run to see
any percent
how fast people can punch me in the face.
Yeah. See how fast you can be hated by every person who's playing with.
Oh yeah.
That's so. And so were these decks like, did you make these or are these decks that other people are playing, or how do you come up with like these ideas for the decks that you're doing?
The Eldrazi deck was a precon, so that was pre-constructed. I just kind of took some cards out and replaced some other ones. Every other card that I have, I built myself.
And so where did you get the ideas? Did you see like a deck, you're like, that's a really cool concept, and then you kind of like went searching for that, or like?
Yep.
Okay.
Basically, that's what I did. I wanted to make a really big commander that would just swing face the way that Magic is supposed to be played. I want to do some crazy things with artifacts. like gain a bunch of life and then go infinite. And then crazy stuff like that.
Can you give me an example of an infinite? Because I like
Mhm.
most infinites, I
Yep.
feel like.
So I'll actually explain the double infinite combo that I did.
Okay.
So what my commander does in the deck is you could pay, it's blue, black, white. So
Okay.
it is Esper. You could pay a blue mana to turn any artifact you control into a artifact creature where its converted mana cost is its power and toughness.
Okay.
You could then pay white, black to give any artifact creature you control Death Touch lifelink.
Yep.
So here's what you do. I'm going to explain this to you in the best form that I can. There is a creature called Voltaic Construct. It's a 4-mana creature that says you could pay 2 to untap target artifact creature. What you do is you turn any artifact that you have that can tap for 3 mana or more into an artifact creature. For instance, Thran Dynamo, which taps for 3 colorless. Gilded Lotus taps for 3 mana of any color. Or any permanent that you have that can tap for 3 mana or more. You turn that into a creature. And then what you do is, say I have a Thran Dynamo tapped for 3 colorless mana. I turn that into an artifact creature. I tap it for 3, but then with the Voltaic Construct, I put 2 into that to untap it. And then I just tap it. And then I pay 2 to untap it. I go positive every single time I do it.
It's adding like at least 1 power and toughness each time.
It's not adding power and toughness. It's just adding 1 mana every single time you do tap it for 3, pay 2 to untap it. You're adding an infinite number of positive mana every single time. So I do that and I gain a bunch of life. There's this artifact called Aetherflux Reservoir where you could pay 50 life to deal 50 damage to any target. So what you do is you turn Aetherflux Reservoir into a creature, give it Death Touch lifelink. If you're over 50 life, if you deal 50 damage to a player, the lifelink gives you the life back. So you go around the table and just like, you get 50 damage. You get 50 damage.
Yeah.
You countered my thing. You get 100 damage. And so you do that an infinite number of times, and that's exactly how I won that game at the convention. Like, I went infinite against the guy.
What's the success rate on that?
15%. 15% of the time I will hit a infinite combo.
That's so cool.
I actually realized I got a card at the convention that made another infinite combo with it, which is pretty sweet.
Was it just like another 3?
Another 3. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I got a mana crypt.
Yeah. See, that's so cool. What percentage of people who are running like pro decks have some kind of infinite thing? Is that just like a requirement, like to have a certain card combo that
goes
more
infinite?
or less ends the game?
I would say if you're going to Mayhem on Thursday nights, I would say probably 30% of the people have at least one deck that is an infinite combo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so are people like pretty respectful when it comes to play? Like, are people interested in like playing a deck that's not just gonna like?
There's salt.
Okay.
There's a lot of salt that goes on there, but a lot of the times a lot of people are respectful and they're just like, I want to see this play out. I really want to see this because maybe I want to do it myself.
Okay.
So it's a good competition based thing where like you're trying to see who can have the coolest combo and stuff like that, but then also just like kind of learning more because I'm learning more and more about Magic the Gathering every single time I play it. So just seeing what certain decks can do in certain cards from before I was born. These crazy cards that I've never seen in my life before, and then seeing them just absolutely pop off with a card that was released like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. That's the awesome part about it is there's just so many endless combinations. I bought my brother a 1,000 card mystery box on like Amazon for like $20.
Yeah.
And like most of it went straight to the trash. But it was just so exciting to like see a bunch of cards we had never seen before. And like some of them were like really fun. There's this like annoying ass blue control card that's like it's an enchantment that you put out and then it just counters the next spell that's played, like whatever it is. And so you can just like get 4. I guess it would counter like the next one, but like you're just like pre-ordering the shit post like before it even comes. So just annoying stuff like that.
I have a creature that says it's a 5-man. It's 5 and 2 blue. It says whenever I cast an instant sorcery or artifact, copy it.
That's insane.
Once per turn. Whenever an opponent casts an instant sorcery or artifact, counter the first one every turn.
That seems super OP. That's like a super.
Ironically, though, like when the set came out, it was like $30 card, and I opened a foil one, my first pack of the box that I bought. It's now like $7. Wow. I don't know why.
Dude, you could have made like a $20 profit.
I could have. I have a funny story about profit in a weird way, in a magic sense. So I went to a pre-release for a set, and in the set, I got this creature. It's Shieldred, the Apocalypse. At the time, it's one of the Phyrexian Praetors, so one of the really evil, salty creatures that was released back in Ultimate Masters a couple years ago. And they made a new version that does a new crazy thing. It says, whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. 4 or 5 death touch for 2 and 2 black. So when the set was released, it was about $25. Over time, it went up to about $50. And I bought a box of it. I got a second one. I then traded that in to get another box at Mayhem. I only got about $45 in in-store credit for it. That card today, it just went up in price again, like last week. I still have one, which I'm really happy about. It is a $95 card.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like these collectible things, like I'm telling you, like
Yeah.
I have a bunch of Pokemon cards that are not worth anything.
Yeah.
But maybe in 40 years,
Oh yeah.
I can sell that bad boy, like my 700 cards, and sell.
Oh,
it
for sure.
like-
So, there's going to be a buyer out there.
I know
that
that.
the nostalgia is just too much. It's worth its price in gold.
Yeah, and so when you look up that Magic card and you're like, ooh, that fat 95,
That
crazy.
fat 95.
I don't think I own any cards that are worth more than like $10.
So they released a card that's basically it's called Jewel Lotus. It's like the Black Lotus, but it can only cast your commander. I bought a pack at Mayhem and opened it on the store counter and pulled that card that is also worth $95 currently.
Did they have like a
In
pop-off
store.
reaction to
They're
it?
just like, huh. Well, that happened.
That's crazy.
They're just like, you want a sleeve for that? I'm like, yeah, please.
I think I gotta go to Mayhem and start buying. Like, do they just have packs, like small packs of random cards, and like they have chances, like they're good cards?
So it depends on the set. So I opened a Jewel Lotus, that card, that $95 card in the store. My girlfriend and I, we got a booster box. We opened another one.
What?
I opened a box with my buddy earlier this week that we went halfsies on. He opened another one.
How much is the pack?
So if at Mayhem, they are $21 a pack. The box is $370.
I think maybe you come and you can come and I'll buy a box so I can get some of your luck. And
Yeah.
then
I'll bless your box.
yeah, I bless my box so I can get like a
Please.
$95 card.
It's just that one set. Normally, a normal set is like $110, $120 a box. It's like $5 a pack. This one, all the cards in it, you're almost guaranteed to make close to profit, or like maybe you have a dud every once in a while, but you're gonna
Break
pull
even or
some
something.
really awesome stuff. Yeah,
That's really cool. I think I need to do more Magic shopping. I think I'm like this close to getting just more into it because
Yeah,
right
there
now
you
my
go.
brother has all the cards.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm like this close. I'm getting edged right now to start. Yeah, back to slamming a deck on the table.
Slamming a deck on the table.
Like I think I need to. It's just I'm gonna start spending all my money.
Oh my god. Put down a down
I'm
payment.
yeah, I'm gonna start investing. Like actually, I'm gonna have to start paying freaking what's it called? Inflation, some magic inflation or something. But we've been running for about an hour and 20, which is
my
bonkers.
God.
I know
Dude,
it happens
the
every time.
flies.
I know.
We got another hour 20. I could be here.
Yeah. I only reserved it till 7. So it's like tragic. So go ahead and is there any last things you want to say before I close you out?
Yeah, I would like to say a big shout out to the Student Union Board at Iowa State for giving the Grandma Mojos the stage that they have, the platform that they have to do what they do. Obviously, you've had Vinny, you've had Sam on the show, Alex. They're all a part of Sub. They help us do what we do and help the Mojos be as popular as they are. So without them, we're nothing. The Mojos are nothing. So shout out to them for being so sweet to us over the years. Shout out to all the people that have helped me be the person that I am now. Without you, I'm not here. And special shout out to my girlfriend for.
What's your girlfriend's name?
Maureen.
Maureen. Shout out Maureen.
Shout out Maureen.
You're a real legend.
Love
real
you.
legend.
Love you, baby. But anyways, stay happy and definitely make sure to smile at least once a day. I said that the last time I was here, but definitely make sure to smile. A little happiness goes a long way. Say hi to me if you see me around. I don't bite occasionally. And just I'm glad to be here. It's a great day to be alive, and it's a wonderful life we have.
It was awesome having you on, Adam. Thank you.
Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure. I would do this 100 more times.
That's what I like to hear, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'll see you.